For some, the darkness you felt even in the last year was the death of someone you loved dearly. And of course, today with the violence that happened, perpetrated against firefighters this last week in Connecticut, we could feel, it was palpable, the darkness in our world. This is what darkness feels like. And when it's dark, we crave the light. We're longing for the light. And so when John writes his gospel, he tells the Christmas story differently than Matthew and Luke. Matthew and Luke have wise men and shepherds and angels, but John tells the story of Christmas using light and darkness. And I want you to listen carefully to John's account of the Christmas story as the Christ candle makes its way into the room.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him. And without him, not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life. And the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him. Yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, or of the will of the flesh, or the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. And we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth.
I suspect that first Christmas was filled with the sound of children and crying. In fact, I know it was. Interesting. In Bethlehem in Judea, in a cave, in a stable, amidst the dung and the dirt, Christ the Lord was born. So we light the Christ candle. We remember light coming into the darkness. And Jesus, when he became a man, called to himself disciples. And he shared with them, I am the light of the world. And he began to teach them what walking in that light looks like. And then finally the day came when he said, now you have my light in you. You are the light of the world. You're to be like a city set upon a hill that cannot be hidden. Let your light so shine before others that they might see your good works and give glory to your Father who's in heaven. And then he told them to share the light of Christ. And they shared the light with others, the light of Christ. Who shared it with others? Who shared it with others? Who shared it with others? Who shared it with others until someone shared it with you. I'd like to invite you to stand now, and as we sing Silent Night, as you pass on the light, you're sharing the light. As you receive the light, you're inviting that light, the light of Christ, into your life. Let's sing. Let's invite Christ to illuminate our lives. this is my favorite moment every year, looking around this room and seeing, in this case, probably 3,500 of you, more candles in this room than I've ever seen before, and seeing your faces awash in the glow of that light, which actually for the moment makes you look like angels, and thinking about this picture of what Christ hoped the church would be. Because this was Christ's big idea about the church. People didn't make this idea up. He said, you know, upon this rock I'll build my church. And the idea was that people would come together and they would worship and they would grow and they would bless and they would heal one another and encourage one another. And then every week they would go out from the church and go out into the world and take the light into the world, and the world would be changed. And you know, together we can change the world. We can push back the darkness. I want you to hold up the light if you would. Hold up your candles and look around. A moment ago it was pitch dark in here. A moment ago we could hardly see and babies crying, and now look at this. All the light that we together produce. This is what it means, I think, to be the church. And I want to give you this invitation. 22 years ago, my wife and I and our 2 children started this church as a place for thinking people who, for whatever reason, had turned away from God or the church. And our hope is, if you're here, you live in Kansas City, you don't have a church family, we'd love to be your church family. I promise you it's not usually this crowded. And we'd love to have you here and to be part of this congregation, and together to find your light glowing brightly and to go out into the world to change the world every week. And when we do that, when we change the world together, we let our light shine, what we find is pure joy.